This is number 4 for me today, or last night and all 3 this morning. Father Regis, as you know, was probably supposed to have this Mass, but he's coming from Columbus, Ohio. He had a family wedding yesterday. He's not back yet. If it makes you feel any better, I could make you play musical chairs. Stand up, move over, sit down, if you like. I could also give the microphone to Jim to give the homily because he's heard it 3 times already. Anyhow, of the 4 readings today, 3 of them talked about a vineyard. Why a vineyard? What's so special about it? Yes, it's good imagery, but what's the deal? For the ancient Israelites, the vineyard was basically not a national symbol, but an unofficial national symbol for them. Because earlier in one of the prophets, the prophet used the relationship between God and his people by using the image of a vineyard. So God meticulously dug up the earth, fertilized the earth, planted the vines, watered the vines, took care of the vines, trimmed them, pruned them, put a hedge around them, put a tower to protect his people. And among the nations of the ancient Near East, Israel and its relationship with God was very special. So all through its history, it uses this symbolism of the vine and the grapes and the harvest and all that. All right? Now, when Isaiah comes along and reads the passage that we had today, knowing that the vineyard is really and truly understood by the people, he uses that imagery to, shock people. You claim that you are God's holy people. You claim that you are God's vineyard. Well, this is, because of your actions, this is what God's going to do. He's going to let it go feral. He's going to, take the hedge down, take the tower down. He's going to let wild animals come in. He's going to let it overrun everything. And it's going to die. If you were an ancient Israelite listening to Isaiah preach that, you would have been able to make a correlation. Oh, I'm God's people, I'm God's vineyard. Ooh, I'm going wild and feral. Ooh, does that mean God's going to destroy me? And on one level, he did, in the sense that he banished them during the Babylonian captivity. He made them leave their land. In the gospel today, Jesus takes up that imagery once again. There's a different twist to the gospel passage. In Isaiah's time, when Isaiah was talking about the vineyard, everybody knew what he was talking about. He knew that he was talking about them. In the gospel, the Pharisees and the leaders of the Jewish people at the time didn't even realize that. Jesus uses the parable. Once upon a time, there was a vineyard. Automatically, the Pharisees should have said, Israel. They didn't. And he goes on to tell the same story. Well, what's going to happen to these people? Well, they're going to be wiped out. Duh. Look at yourself. Because you're not doing what God wants you to do, you're going wild. You're not producing enough fruit. God's going to take his church elsewhere. And when they realized that he was talking about them, they wanted to kill him. Now, for our meditation today, we don't use vineyard for us. For us, the symbol might be the Statue of Liberty. Okay? The home of the free, the land of the free, the home of the brave. So how does all of this come into play for us? Well, I was thinking about it, and as I was thinking about it, I thought, okay, let's look at it from hindsight. There's already ruination. Okay, let's pretend that. How do we make the land fertile again? So, in our country, just as an example, we're going through budget problems. Everybody's blaming everybody else. Republicans are blaming Democrats. Democrats are blaming Republicans. And the American people get frustrated because nothing's being done. Okay. That's the ruination. That's the vineyard being torn apart, so to speak. My meditation for you, how do we get it back to producing fruit? Whether it's in the nation or in the church, or let's say families, what can we do? And I was thinking of 3 different areas that we can focus on whenever we're trying to, get everything back to the way it's supposed to be. Let's look at it from, the whole, the national view. I'm not giving you specifics, but what can we as a nation do to solve all of this? Not blame, but as a people of the United States, what can we do? If the problem's in the church, what can we as a church do to solve it? If we are a family, if the problem's in the family, what can we as a family do? The second area is, what can we as a community do? Township of Hampton, how can we contribute to getting the country back on track? How can we, as a parish of St. Catherine of Sweden, get the church back on track? How can we as individual families, or just as an individual, contribute to get the church back on track? Whatever it may be. And if we're at the family, how can we as a family work together to solve our problems? How can we as parents or as children work in our own way to help the family? How can we as an individual help the family? It's very easy to blame. It's very easy to say that there isn't any types of problems. It's very easy to ignore it and say it's somebody else's problem. But in the end, the problem's still there. Some religious sisters asked Mother Teresa once, instead of physically feeding them, you should go after the poverty in the government. You should go after the problems that cause that poverty. And Mother Teresa said, that's very true. But in the meantime, who's going to feed them? Who's going to help their wounds? It's good to have the ideals, but we need to do something. Whatever problems that we have in the nation, in the church, in the families, whatever, acknowledging the problem doesn't lead necessarily to any solution unless we act. The field will still grow wild grapes if we don't do anything. The church will still have problems if we don't do anything. Our families may still have problems if we don't do anything. What can we do as a nation, as a community, as an individual? How can we reverse the problem and allow the field to once again produce fruit that will yield 100 or 30 or 20 times the load?